watching Can Feudal Japan Survive the Zombie Apocalypse in Total Warhammer 3. And I'm gonna say, maybe. Let's check it out.
Fellas, when you think of feudal Japan, you're probably imagining its strict warrior culture and
gotchi.
military dictatorships. But what you really need to consider is, could it survive the zombie apocalypse? Well, that's what we're going to figure out in today's video, because we'll be playing Warhammer Total War 3 post-zombie outbreak. In this world, 90% of the map is controlled by the undead, and each vampire lord starts the game with dozens of armies full of zombies.
How do you command all of these zombies? Like, do they have hopes and dreams and aspirations and kids and families? I don't know.
By this point, most factions have become extinct, and there's only a handful of resistance groups fighting to survive. We will be playing as the noble Japanese, isolated in the Far East.
Wait! So in this game, you can be a zombie or just from Japan? Wait, I'm confused. Can you be American?
Goal is to unify Japan, create a formidable army, and destroy the 4 main undead factions responsible for the apocalypse. Can we utilize the might of the samurai to restore order to this world, or will we become just another body in the army of the dead? There's only one way to find out. But before we go any further, I have to tell you something. 7 months ago, I began a revolutionary initiative to save the homeless population by getting them horny. It's a long story, and you'll be surprised to hear it didn't work. I failed my fellow man because I left them in the unsavory hands of anime women.
Oh my god, it's Mari _en!
Plop, 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 plop. Get pregnant, get pregnant!
I mean, who's really behind that camera, Alana? For all we know, it's 3 Discord mods in a trench coat. Point is, if you want to do something right, do it yourself. Which is why I partnered with Gamer Subs to take matters into my own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, they made me hot.
Oh! Am I allowed to show me slimed on YouTube? I don't know. Is it this one? Oh no, that's not the right picture. But it fit perfectly, I don't know how.
You may look upon my supple body and think, dear God, science has gone too far. But that's just how committed I am to the cause. And my only other option was to pay an animator to turn me into a gay rat.
Whoa! Wait, this is really cute. The only thing that freaks me out about rats, though, are like their tails. But apparently they're very smart and very nice, but they only live like 2 years, so it's very sad.
So, count yourself lucky. Long story short, for a limited time, we're selling a Reggie shaker cup for all of your drinking needs. I love mine so much, I physically consumed it. Now, it'll be with me forever in the form of millions of microplastics coursing through my veins. But
if you technically did swallow a cup, does it disintegrate in your body, or do you, like, poop it out as, like, a cup? And then you could, like, use it again? I don't know.
If that's not your style, we also have a branded hat. This thing is saving me a ton of money on psychiatrists, because instead of—
Oh, he didn't swallow it! I forgot you can put stuff up your butt. I forgot that was a hole.
Spending thousands of dollars to receive a diagnosis, I just wear this hat in public, and everyone implicitly understands that I am mentally ill. I don't want to brag, but this is an excellent value proposition. So I recommend pre-ordering your merch today, or else I might just get desperate. Alright, now back to the video. Here we are in the beautiful fantasy world of pre-anime Japan. My name is Shingen Takeda of the Takeda clan, and I'm a provincial daimyo, which means I spend most of my time exploiting local farmers and beating the ever-living shit out of my neighbors. Some might say it's the perfect life, but there's one problem. We've got way too many Chinese guys. In fact, there's also some Egyptians and even a few furries. Point is, if we
definitely gotta get the furries out of here, okay? I told you guys this before. I was a furry a long time ago, and then my dad told me it was embarrassing to knock it off and to stop, and then I did. My dad saved me.
If we want to survive the zombie apocalypse, we're going to need to unify Japan under a singular identity. There are a few options for achieving this, but above all else, I believe in historical accuracy, which is why I'm going to kill everyone, starting with this guy. I'm not necessarily doing this because he's Chinese, though that would be historically accurate. I'm doing it because his goddamn name is 30 pages long, and—
Jeez! Oh my god! Can you even fit that in a Google Document?
Whenever I select him in the diplomacy screen, it stretches out somewhere into the Atlantic Ocean. You see, when you have a name this long, it dehumanizes you, because people don't even try to remember it. Instead,
actually, the one other, like, name group I feel bad for are people who have funny names. Like, if your last name is Wiener, or Balls, or Shaft, or Butt, like, you live with that, and you never hear the end of it.
they just give you terrible nicknames like Dick Stroker and Ass Master. Every Thanksgiving, your grandmother says to you, "Hey, cum goblin, pass the gravy," and then she spits in your eye because she doesn't respect you. Gradually, your sense of identity is eroded, and you sink into a deep depression before lying down on the highway. I think in light of that nightmarish reality, killing this guy is honestly the nicest thing we could do for him. So we start by taking 2 of his settlements and then setting up an ambush outside his capital. Luckily, he's too busy alphabetizing his names to notice, so he walks right into it.
So he's gonna ambush him from the bush. Watch the stride.
At face value, our army is composed primarily of impoverished rice farmers. However, the enemy army is mostly crows, so I think we've got a chance. Setting up the ambush, I attack the left side with a few units of samurai, and turn the right side into a peasant gangbang. After
What the hell is up, Denny's?
Few minutes, thousands are dead, and Japan is victorious. Woo! I can already feel my ultra-nationalism rising. After that, I spent a few turns culturally assimilating the Tomb Kings by stabbing them repeatedly with a wakizashi. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, the first undead overlord Helman Gorst is quickly expanding his empire through the destruction of resistance factions. Once he gets past these French armies, he'll share a maritime border with us, which is really bad. But we don't have time to worry about that, because I just declared war on Sinch, and I'm taking all of his territory. Also,
dang, this kind of looks fun. Is this a wiki game, though? Sometimes I love to just turn my brain off, play a game that requires a lot of Wikipedia usage, and just, like, slime out.
So I've unlocked a new mount, which I definitely know how to ride. The Sinchian conflict culminated in one final battle at his northernmost province. Sinch armies are usually threatening because of how many ranged units they can field. So to counter this, I've researched and developed matchlock rifles. You might not think this is a big deal, but let me give you a choice. You can either get attacked with funny bisexual magic, or if you prefer, I can blow your face off with a black powder musket. I know which one I'd pick.
I guess just the musket, it'll be over a lot faster, right? But, I mean, the other one's just beautiful.
Anyway, the battle got underway, with trebuchets bombarding the enemies and our muskets controlling the skies. Following this up with a full charge, things quickly devolved into a large-scale woodland melee, where I attempt to utilize my complete disregard for casualties to slowly beat our enemies into submission. And just as things were getting interesting, the game crashed.
Me. Also, can somebody tell me where the Steam profile picture is from? I know at least 5 mother suckers with this equipped specifically, and I don't know why. Also, we got, let's look at the games real fast. We got Total Warhammer 3, Magic the Gathering Arena, based, Tales, Making History, Aneurysm, Badlands, Enzoi, okay, Schedule 1, Repo, I did a speedrun for that, Fallout. Pretty based. It's a hentai game? Oh, you meant the profile picture. I was like, I played Schedule 1. I didn't remember there being hentai in there.
Which leads us to my next point. If you're watching this video and thinking, wow, Japan is very cool, I want to be Japanese.
Everybody on Twitter.
No, you don't. This mod is a direct pipeline to Neo-Luddite terrorism, because it has the approximate stability of a landmine in a blender. It's not a matter of if it'll blow up, it's a matter of how many innocent lives will be caught in the blast.
Like Yellowstone.
Every time my game crashes, I add 500 words to my manifesto, and whenever it is...
Oh my god, I forgot about that guy.
Isn't crashing, it's T-posing my commanders, changing the aspect ratio on their portraits, and making them ride their mounts underground. In fact, I couldn't use my
Wait! That horse was riding him! No bucket required.
General for that entire last battle, because he spawned in on a horse 70 feet in the sky. Couldn't move at all. Point is, I'm willing to be radicalized into bombing a data center just so I can roleplay as the Shogun of Japan. but I don't recommend it. Anyway, after reloading the save, I did the honorable thing and auto-resolved Siege into oblivion. The only people left to resist us...
I'm sorry, I had to comment on
I did
this.
the honorable thing and auto-resolved Siege...
I kept seeing like 90 threads on Twitter where they were like, the Ash baby is AI! And I looked at it, I was like, you thought he was a real baby? Who would have done this? There is no way you cover your baby in ash and go to JCPenney and they just take a picture.
...to oblivion. The only people left to resist us now are the Skaven. And now that my commander isn't doing the Skyblock challenge, I'm headed straight for them. I was lucky enough to attack their capital while most of their armies rode at sea, so I only had to kill millions of rats instead of billions. But any battle against the Skaven is and always will be a monumental pain in the ass.
I mean, I guess you could like train in New York.
Also, we crashed.
Oh.
After exterminating the rats, we controlled most of the country, and I established a defensive alliance with the only other Japanese faction. Now, after hundreds of years of bloodshed, Japan is finally unified under a singular vision, which means we can devote all of our resources to creating the most vile pornography imaginable.
Let's go! The hentai revolution is among us.
This is the samurai way. Also, I guess we should do something about the millions of zombies. In fact, by this point, the undead hordes have completely obliterated French Vietnam, and Hellman is now actively extorting us for money. Money which I gladly pay him, because he's the strongest faction in the game, and the endgame crisis hasn't even triggered yet. Up to this point, we've been practicing the isolationist policy of Sakoku. In case you're not familiar with this principle, allow me to put it into a hypothetical situation. Your name is John Fortnite. You live in Section 8 housing with your father, who forced
Sam Hyde! Oh my god, where the hell is this going? Is his fake girlfriend there too?
You to refer to him as the Shogun, your mother, the Emperor, and approximately 12 to 18 million siblings. One day, an African dandy knocks on your door and asks you for directions to the gas station. You slice him in half with a katana for violating your national sovereignty, and then your father exiles you to live the rest of your life in the backyard for the crime of interacting with a foreigner. This is Sakoku, and it has kept us safe up to this point. But once the endgame crisis...
You know, actually... I don't know. CT might have to cut this out. I don't know if it's gonna make people mad. But that was one of the experience I had in Japan was I didn't get like katana, but I was sitting in a train and this guy walked in with his briefcase. He saw me, Baka Gaijin, sitting there and he went. And then he walked out and went to the next train car over. He didn't even want to sit anywhere near me.
This hits, we won't be able to hide any longer, because all zombie factions will declare war on us and we'll probably die. So to improve our odds of survival, we need to continue expanding and developing our empire. Which leads me to my next point. Taiwan.
I like you, and I want you.
Right now, it's under the control of the Taiwanese Dark Elves.
Honestly, it's very beautiful. Like, look at the trees. Look at the vibes. And she's beautiful too. Like, give me a kiss. I love me some goth mommies.
But I'd like to turn it into a military base to train samurai. So let's get to work. I send my navy to Taiwan on a diplomatic mission. I kill the Taiwanese and rename all of their settlements.
Tokyo or something.
This is the equivalent of stealing someone's barbecue before scratching off the serial number and repainting it. Basically, foolproof. I also forged alliances with the Filipino High Elves, because with 90% of the world taken over by zombies, it's probably bad policy to keep killing the only survivors. Now that we've got land, military infrastructure, and unmitigated ultra-nationalism, we are easily one of the strongest...
Did that activate something in me? Was that Love Live?
remaining human fact.
What was that song? Wait. That was Snow Halation. I think that was Snow Halation. Something just went off in my brain.
Actions. So, what's our next move? I ask myself this question, and my inner Japanese daimyo screams the answer.
What? Oh, to Korea?
Right now, it's controlled by the undead, with a small South Korean resistance led by Lokir Felhart. I sail my navy in that direction to help out. However, before I can get there, I receive terrible news. The endgame crisis just popped, and Helmut Gorst is looking at me the same way Jeffrey Dahmer looks at gay black men in the suburbs. So that changed my priorities just a bit. Good luck, South Korea. I'm sure you'll be fine. Our win conditions for this campaign are simple. Destroy the 4 dominant undead factions. And since
Okay.
Hellman is right next to us, we may as well start there. At the moment, our main army, led by Shingen, is composed of highly trained samurai and a few riflemen, while our other 2
Whoa.
armies are primarily peasants and a couple of long-range cannons.
Honestly, weren't peasants just kind of like fighting each other? And that's why the pitchfork is like a weapon because farmers used it, or like hoes, like not like women, but like the tool. Like farmers were kind of beating the crap out of each other.
It's not much, but hopefully it's enough. Landing at
Whoa.
Saigon, we quickly capture the settlement, but it turns out we are the wrong type of Asian, because the magical forests of Vietnam are completely uninhabitable to us. So I decide to donate the land to the French resistance in exchange
Okay, or maybe they'll make like a theme park, or what would make the world better here? HEB?
for them joining the war. Our blitzkrieg against the undead was going quite well. We managed to liberate 3 more settlements and sell them back to the French. But our success was short-lived, because after 5 turns of casualties, vampiric attrition, and a low replenishment rate, my army of heart
Oh, come on! The fertility rate! Please, we're trying to fight a war! Just start begging each other!
hardened samurai warriors may as well be an army of femboy twinks, because with a combined 50 health, we're looking awfully submissive and breedable. My conclusion from losing 5,000 men in just a couple turns? Our artillery is trash, and we need anti-cavalry. Because our rifles can't do shit when an 1,100-pound horse is tap dancing on their balls. So for a
Ow! Would you rather have a horse or an elephant tap dance on your balls? Probably a horse.
attempt 2, I brought in some Naginata samurai and started upgrading our units with Sakura blessings. However, our downfall, as always, was trusting the French, because I accepted a battle to defend their settlement against the undead. But these chalk-eating, window-licking French bastards deployed.
And what is wrong with eating chalk? I love Smarties, and I love fun dipsticks.
Facing the wrong direction and got slaughtered before I could even show up. Maybe, just maybe, we're on the wrong side of history. Anyway, everyone died and I was back to twiddling my thumbs in the Pacific Ocean. As if that wasn't bad enough, the undead launched a surprise invasion of Taiwan, taking half of the island before I could even react. If Taiwan falls, we lose access to all samurai units, so this is kind of a big deal. I managed to cobble together an army of swordsmen and reinforce it with Ronin from the mainland. This culminates in one final battle for control of the island. We establish a defensive formation, and the undead armies wash upon us.
Rumbling, rumbling, it's coming.
For every zombie we kill, 2 seem to take its place. It wasn't until our archers started focus firing the enemy leadership that things started going in our favor.
So, are there giant worms in this game? This will make sense in a second. Because I saw a dragon, and aren't dragons called worms or something? And what if there were giant worms that you could ride into battle? That would be pretty cool. Someone mod that.
Before long, the battle was over, resulting in a massive victory for mankind, with 6,500 undead casualties. With that taken care of, there's only one thing left to do. Fellas, grab your M16s and jungle heroin, because we're going back to Vietnam. For this second invasion, I adopted the approach of fanning out my armies and attacking Hellman on multiple fronts. Then I realized that's stupid as hell. Hellman's weakness is that he has to defend all of his fronts, which allows us to instead group up 3 or 4 stacks and overpower him at a singular point. By this point, I've successfully vassalized the French, High Elves, and the Japanese, so I coordinated their armies to distract the undead in the north while I took our navy to the deep south and established a beachhead. It doesn't take
Wait a second. Never mind.
long for the locals to come greet us. Man, I'm sure they're expecting us to instantly capitulate and
Whoa! What was that?
long for the locals to come greet us.
Where is he getting these images from?
And I'm sure they're expecting us to instantly
Come on, we're going decisive defeat. Yes. Where is he getting these photos?
capitulate and suck them from behind. But we've got a secret weapon, the Shogun's first samurai. Usually, a singular unit cannot sway the tide of a 10,000-man battle, but this regiment of renown cost 4,000 gold just to recruit, and that's because they're absolutely and completely busted. They have triple the attack of our usual samurai, they're unbreakable, armored, armor-piercing, and they can even deflect projectiles with their swords.
What can't they do? They've literally got it all!
Truly, this is...
When you were partying, I studied the blade. When you were having premarital sex, I mastered deflect shots. While you wasted your days at the gym in pursuit of vanity, I cultivated armor piercing. And now the world is on fire, and the Vietnamese are at the gate. You have the audacity to come to me for help.
Japanese apotheosis. So when I tell you that we attacked 3 undead armies and absolutely crucified them in open combat, you shouldn't be surprised.
Wow!
You also shouldn't be surprised when I explain that it took me 9 hours to do this.
What? Oh my god. I really like whenever people do insane challenges that take forever. Another person I can think of that does this a lot is Let's Game It Out. He'll be like 30 hours later. He made like the world's biggest maze.
Because every time I loaded the fight, my game would crash. One of our units in the army is causing the crash, and I spent several hours finding who was responsible. Turns out it was my Wish.com Naruto.
Tase him! Tase him!
Not his existence in a general sense. In fact, I have a lot of retarded people in my army. They fight very well. The issue was that Mr. Uzumaki was trying to ride a horse, and the game didn't like that shit one bit.
Maybe because he's wearing open-toed shoes and it's like not safe. That's just my thought.
So it crashed 20 times in a row. Yet again, our greatest struggle in the zombie apocalypse is against our own mod pack. Anyway, upon politely revoking Naruto's license, we're back on track. After breaking through Hellman's first response force, there was nothing to stop us from carving up his southern provinces and selling them to the French.
Oh my god! I literally cannot go a day without seeing Nikagano Avocado, please! Please leave me alone! Oh.
We also deployed half a dozen ninjas throughout his territory to monitor his troop movements. But eventually the fun had to end after I came across what I describe as the Indigestible Wad, a collection of 8 or 9 undead armies traveling in one giant doom stack. This is a problem.
Yeah, they're like undead herpes, like they just don't go away.
And I have the solution.
Really?
Earlier in the campaign, a sex criminal was covering us in his bodily fluids, and
See, I was close!
our solution was gun. God bless America. And now, when a giant horde of undead creatures are barreling down on us, our solution will be bigger gun. The big cannon samurai are tier 3 ranged units with an absurd stat line. You may be wondering what's so big about these cannons, and I'll tell you, it's the projectiles.
Damn! Country girls make news!
We're not shooting our enemies with bullets anymore. We're smoking them in the face with flaming dicks. Because each projectile is 12 inches long and hurts like hell. Bad Dragon would be proud.
Oh! That looks like a Stardew Valley item! What is that?
I tested these out in some battles against the undead, and
I'm gonna be honest, those have to be like trophy toys. There is no way that somebody could actually fit that in their beehole or hoo-ha. Like, that is a lot.
it quickly became clear to me this shit is absolutely busted. Because not only does it do massive and accurate damage, but it doesn't even need a line of sight.
How did 2 people at the same time in chat saying you'd be surprised?
So as long as you're within 200 range, you're dying. Random skeletons charging across a field? Try again. Senile dickhead flying through the sky? Back to the retirement home, Grandpa.
Yeah, it's a wyvern, not a worm. I think, then what's a worm? Chat, what is a worm? Like W-Y-R-M. What is a worm? Yeah, a worm? Oh, it's just pronounced worm. I didn't know that. Okay, so I was kind of close.
And most importantly, cavalry charges now turn into cavalry stains on the ground.
Oh.
August 6th, 1945.
I only watch cute VTubers. No, you're cute, thanks. Unless he's got his eyes closed. Then never mind.
Into cavalry stains on the ground. August 6, 1945, the United States of America did the Oppenheimer Shuffle on Hiroshima, and at that point, the war was over. But it took another...
Billy was there? What?
8 days for the Emperor to admit his defeat. With the invention of these big cannon samurai, that's exactly where we're at now. Emperor Helmo Hito has virtually no counterplay, apart from praying that we run out of ammo. So we spent the next 15 turns obliterating all of his armies and strengthening our allies.
They literally just fall over and die.
By the time his faction went extinct, we controlled all of Southeast Asia through a series of French, Japanese, and Filipino puppet states. That's one zombie faction down, 3 to go. So let's check on the others and see how they're doing. Manfred von Karstein once controlled the entirety of the Neo-Assyrian undead empire.
Wow, you see what being bald gets you? Success.
But in what can only be described as a generational fumble, he somehow created 20 resistance factions, which are now taking turns beating the fuck out of him.
He's suffering from success, he's too strong.
So we should probably go put him out of his suffering. On the other hand, Heinrich Kemmler has control over all of Ulthuan and most of Bretonnia, while Vlad von Karstein has a good chunk of the empire, placing them at strength rank 1 and 2. So what's the plan? Well, a reasonable man might just decide to make 10 full armies of big cannon samurai, but that's exorbitantly expensive, and our country hasn't yet figured out how to monetize gooning to anime women.
It's coming eventually. Give it some time.
So instead, we'll have to settle for some more affordable options. Army 1, 5,000 peasants. Army 2, 5,000 peasants. Army 3, people I actually care about. Army 4...
Oh my god, what about the peasants? What about us? What about us?
5,000 peasants with guns. Army 5, a collection of dangerous mythological creatures such as a woman. And finally...
I'm scared. I can't even look her in the eyes.
Finally, Army 6, the only cavalry I could recruit without crashing my game. This is...
I don't know what happens. What's the word, chat, when you're like a sleepy agent? Like, every picture I see in a Reggie video just like activates some neurons from like 2012.
our dream team. Now, let's go save the world. But how are we going to get all the way over here? Well, Warhammer is an excellent game, not just because it actively denies the existence of Australia.
No, some of you guys are from Australia and you're nice. I'm sorry your home just disappeared.
But because it believes in hybridized flat Earth theory, where the world is flat, but you can circumnavigate it only if you're in a boat and you're teleporting. The mechanics of it aren't clear to me either, but the point is, we're using this sea lane to teleport from here all the way to South America. When we started this scenario, this continent was almost entirely controlled by a lesser zombie faction. But after 100 turns of resistance fighting, the people of South America have eliminated their undead overlords and replaced them with literal demons.
What? I mean, I guess he's kind of hot. Okay.
Very cool, South America. Goodbye. Quickly ignoring that entire continent, we sail across the Atlantic to arrive on the shores of Manfred's territory. Just when you thought the Middle East couldn't get any more complicated, 30,000 Japanese men stage an amphibious landing in Saudi Arabia. Our first order of business is to gain control of Sudenburg. The garrison of 3,000 men pissing their pants was no match.
Hopefully he'll take it over Sudenburg then later. Someone workshop that. There's potential. I just messed it up.
And with that, we have a base of operations. Meanwhile, somewhere in the desert, Sheikh Manfred von Karstein is punching the air at the thought of losing his capital to a bunch of impoverished rice farmers. So he issues a fatwa against our lives, and 6,000 of his most violent extremists show up to kill us. That was his biggest mistake, because prior to this moment, he had plausible deniability about having a humiliation fetish.
That was my favorite joke in the whole video.
But after this fight, he's obviously getting off on it. Here's how it went. Our 4 armies against his 4. We can only use 2 at a time, so I choose my main samurai stack and the meme stack of big cannons. After some maneuvering, we establish a defensive shell, and anything that came near the shell got absolutely annihilated.
Damn.
Entire platoons of thousands of enemies gone in an instant. Food nourishes my body.
Ew. Oh, yes! That was good that I paused too late, because this is way better to look at. Do you love your mom and her 2-hit multi-target attacks? Yeah, I do.
Books nourish my mind, and 19 big cannon gunners nourish my soul. Occasionally, Manfred's cavalry might barely survive the gunners, at which point they charge headfirst into my spear wall. This is already a bad idea, but after I activate the spear quilt ability, my spearmen gain 600% mass, which means Manfred is basically charging headfirst into a concrete wall. So that was the battle. 20 minutes of shooting everything that moved, and then 10 minutes of stabbing it with spears after it stopped moving. Final result, 250 friendly casualties, 3,500 enemy casualties.
Jeez, they're like guts.
Eat shit, Manfred. Manfred participated in his next humiliation ritual at
I keep pausing too late. My reaction speed is bad. I should play more games.
the Siege of the Great Pyramid, where he attempted to defend a castle using 90% cavalry. In case you're not familiar, that's like attempting to perform open-heart surgery with a Ford F-150. It's just not applicable. So obviously, we scaled the walls with riflemen and spent 30 minutes putting football-sized holes in all of his units.
Jeez, they're a good shot though. Like, they're all hitting.
Not sure what he was expecting, but getting shot 1,200 times was kind of the high watermark of Manfred's career, because after that, we just casually conquered the rest of his territory.
Wow.
This was boring, but it gave us a chance to forge alliances with Raponce and Volkanovsky the Grim, which helped bolster our income to a massive 15,000 gold per turn.
Whoa! Wait, how much does he have now? 532,000. You could get, like, a box in California. I mean, that's pretty good.
And perhaps more importantly, our alliance with the Empire now allows us to recruit actually good artillery. With Manfred decomposing in the sand and several new allies to control the region, we can move on to the second last undead lord, Heinrich Kemmler.
Oh, he's a wizard. How do you defeat a wizard?
About 20 turns ago, Heinrich was doing quite well for himself, controlling all of Ulthuan. But now we can see that not only did Marathi survive the zombie apocalypse, but she actually survived so well that she's invading Heinrich and winning.
Wait, the cult of pleasure? I thought it was supposed to be the cult of personality. I'm a little lost now. There's too many cults.
In fact, she did about half the work for us. So let's capitalize on this opportunity and take the other half of Ulthuan. Arriving there, we fan out and take a big bite out of that donut. Heinrich Kemmler does not respond well to this surprise rimming, and he attacks us at Cairnthel. I deploy our gun cage in the shallow waters. This slows the enemies down as they charge at us, which gives us more time to shoot them in the face. Additionally, Shingen unlocked the Dark Skies ability, which is a map-wide effect that causes flocks of crows to attack all enemy flying units.
I thought they were just like doing deforestation. They just hate the environment.
This regularly kills bats and even Vargeists within 30 seconds, meaning we've got permanent air superiority. The battle started off quite well, with us melting 3 of his commanders right off the bat. However, once his army caught up, things began getting complicated. Defending a 360-degree formation is pretty challenging, especially when your rocket artillery keeps friendly firing your own units. But luckily, the undead leadership has a remarkable proclivity for flying headfirst into projectile oblivion, and when the enemy generals are speed-running their own death, it's almost impossible to lose. While our 2 main armies were taking care of that, we split a second battle group to proceed along the northern shores, capturing additional territory until we ran into the Red Duke of Mousillon.
Whoa, he looks like he plays Yone.
Not only is this man a vampire, but I have credible evidence linking him to a furry VTuber reaction channel.
What? That's not me. Wait. Furry VTuber reaction channel. Oh, I got stuck. Wait. Oh! Everything's going wrong. Give me a second. I got stuck.
so he had to die. And let me tell you, when we ripped him apart using every Japanese monster on the roster, I felt emotionally enriched on multiple levels.
That's like the first time you get hit by a giant in Skyrim and you just start flying.
Unfortunately, the undead
Berry place. Oh, hell no! Oh, hell no!
the roster, I felt emotionally enriched on multiple levels. Unfortunately, the undead are resilient, and for the next 20 turns, we had to deal with a continuous piss stream of Parisian vampires sailing across the channel to kill us. In better news, we liberated Lothern and brought Tyrion back to life. Then we started...
That was horrible. You know, I tried to rewatch Game of Thrones the other night because I just kind of wanted to.
selling him 90% of our Ulthuan holdings. And for a man who was, until very recently, dead, he has a lot of money. Money which I desperately need, because Marathi is extorting us for 25,000 gold each turn. It's not that I'm a fan of financial domination, but the Dark Elves are so...
No, I'm a fan. You can have it all. How much do you want, mommy? I got you. Discord Nitro, League of Legends skins. What do you want from me?
sexually deranged that even the most perverse Japanese salaryman would stand no chance against them. So it's easier to just cooperate with the sexual terrorists. By this point, we've taken all of Heinrich's settlements in Ulthuan, established the High Elves as a satellite state, and Marathi is teetering on the edge of flattening our dick with a pasta maker.
Yeah, she is teetering for real.
Which means it's time for us to leave. Next objective is Bretonia. Once we purge the undead from this region, then it's on to the Empire for our final target, Vlad von Karstein. Quickly working our way through a naval blockade, we stage our first invasive...
I'm sorry. That guy in chat says like he just came out of the cryo chamber. Can someone please explain to me what the hell's going on? What is this game? What is he doing? Why is this happening?
landing at Lion. Quickly working our way through a naval blockade, we stage our first invasive landing at Lioness. This is a massive city for the undead, so I'm expecting heavy resistance and possibly some suicide bombers. However, instead, as soon as we arrive, the enemy commander jumps in a boat and sails 500 miles away. I almost feel embarrassed to be at war with these people, but...
Do you think people ever did like donuts in their boats back in the day? Like the big ones? That'd be kind of fun. Like that one was going pretty quick, which is what reminded me of the donuts. And that guy was eating donuts earlier, and I'm kind of hungry.
But I'm not too embarrassed to farm their garrisons for XP, because now I'm able to give my commanders the Death Squad perk. Call my boys Unit 731, because they really out here committing racially motivated war crimes and experimenting on the locals. Speaking of human experimentation, I think something is deeply wrong with my ninjas. Too many chromosomes or not enough, I'm not sure. But every time I load the save, it gets worse. Willfully ignoring the uncontrolled mutation of my soldiers, we push forward, capturing several undead cities with minimal resistance. Heinrich did attempt to stop us at one point, but he chose to attack us on a map with a massive choke point when all of our units have rifles. So you can imagine how that went.
They just run into the shots every single time! Do they have no GPS at all?
Take a moment to appreciate Heinrich's situation. According to lore, this man spent 6 years living in the forest, eating tree bark, and going insane before
Wait, so he's like the guy in Hunter x Hunter in the mountains that was punching the air.
Or selling his soul to the devil to obtain necromantic powers. All of that just for some goofy Asians to show up, T-posing on horses, and dismantle his entire empire. Sorry, Heinrich, but I've already depicted you as the Virgin and me as the Chad, so you never stood a chance. The only real casualty of this war was my big cannon meme stack. I got a little too cocky in this battle, and they all died. One of the saddest days in my life was when my child asked me to buy them a Skibbity Toilet mystery
I bought that for myself when I saw it at Target.
surprise toilet, at which point I had no choice but to abandon them outside a Walmart.
Tyler! Are you used to wear his shirt to the gym every day. It was Free Tyler 1 back when he got banned from League.
But losing this army was even worse. Fortunately, fresh reinforcements just arrived from Japan. 14 Tier 5 samurai at a cost of 8,000 gold per turn. If Heinrich wasn't doomed before, he definitely is now. So we spread out and violently expunge his presence from Bretonnia. Also, the dwarves seem to have performed an ethnic cleansing against the Wood Elves. Truly, the world is healing. In similarly pleasant news, Marathi appears to have extracted some sexual gratification from watching us repeatedly batter the elderly, and now she kind of likes us.
Oh, she likey? You likey me? No way. Can I get your Uncrustable?
Plus, I think we've got a chance. All that's left is to seal the deal. I am a romantic soul.
Please! When I get my berry plushie, I'm taking a picture like this one. Instead, she's gonna be eating something stupid.
So to impress Marathi, I strike deep into the Empire, capturing Heinrich's final settlement, leaving him with only one army, at which point I joined forces with her to spit roast Heinrich into oblivion. Used to be that buying a girl flowers was enough to impress her, but now apparently even fucking an old man to death in front of her isn't good enough. Because not only did we not get her number, but she declared war on us immediately after. The dating economy may never recover. Now look, we're already saving.
Oh my god, she said, go yourself. And not in a fun way. Like the worst way.
The world from zombies. We don't have the resources to also save it from perverts. So it's time for some market manipulation. You see, my Bretonian settlements are like a collection of investments, carefully managed and neatly arranged in a dossier.
Oh, yes, carefully managed, just like the CSGO skin.
And in 2 or 3 turns, Marathi is going to take a big fat shit in that dossier, which means we have 2 or 3 turns to become financially liquid. So I start selling off all of our Bretonian holdings to anyone with the money. Aquitaine, Karl Franz, even bearded children. Don't care? Here's your settlement. Good luck defending it. Some people might consider this a form of insider trading, but I prefer to think of it as a timely exercise in geographical minimalism. That was a bit of a disaster, but we handled it well. Meanwhile, on the other side...
My headphones are about to die. I'm gonna swap out the battery, but don't be weird. I can still see what you're saying, I just can't hear you. I don't have nails. I need a tab. Oh. I can hear you guys. I have voices for all of you in my head. I'm not crazy. Okay. Oh! Okay. I think I'm back. Let's see. I think I'm back. Let me see.
Of the world... That was a bit of a disaster, but we handled it well. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, trouble is brewing. South Korea just declared war on us and staged an invasion of northern Japan. With all of our armies in the Empire, this is pretty bad. As the Koreans captured more of our territory, I rushed to assemble an army, but all I could come up with was this. 7 Tier 5 samurai against an entire army of Dark Elf degenerates. Truly, we are doomed.
You got this! Believe in the me who believes in you!
Or at least, that's what I thought, before I realized our samurai can run faster than a goddamn horse.
80 speed? Are they on Heelys? What the hell?
Not only that, but they are completely psychologically unbreakable. So our fight against the Koreans was just a bunch of sociopathic Japanese guys going on an unprecedented killing spree and then chasing down the survivors like wild animals. This is a proud day for all of Japan. Shortly after that, we executed the South Korean president and their territory was colonized by Mongolian lizards.
Whoa! There's big lizards in this game?
starting to understand why every Asian hates other Asians. In fact, at this point, our greatest threat is no longer the undead. It's the dozens of warmongering factions that have rushed into the power vacuum left by the undead. But we've got a goal to complete, and Vlad is still alive. Kind of. So let's get back to work.
Yeah,
we begin pouring our armies into the Empire, splitting one group to the south and one to the north to capture as much as we can. We run into our first resistance at Averheim, when 4 undead armies attack us. However, they're attacking our stack of tier 5 samurai, so it turned into an absolute bloodbath. By the end, there was 5,000 corpses in this ditch alone. The good news is only 500 of those were ours, but the undead seem to have a near limitless supply of.
Why do they mog each other? I've never played this game, so I just want to know. Like, they just stare at each other while everybody else is fighting? Is that the way it looks? It works? And then maybe if your team wins, you shoot them?
Soldiers, and they're trying to wear us down. We can only win this if we fight them smarter, in advantageous maps such as this one. An open field bisected by a river, leaving 2 bottlenecks for us to utilize. Wait.
I might be wrong, but is he playing Persona music and then he said river? And what's that song? It's like, river in a hand.
We rush to gain.
I've been wondering this for a while, and forgive me if this is weird, not cool. Is this your actual voice, or do you use a voice changer? No, I'm always this annoying. But
Blueberry is not always like this.
Control of them with our sit by a river.
I'm just kidding with you. I'm just kidding with you. No, I know you didn't say that. I was just joking.
Leaving 2 bottlenecks for us to utilize. We rush to gain control of them with our samurai, as 6,000 zombies descend upon us like the plague. I'd like to tell you we fought bravely and had some kind of Japanese Thermopylae, but all I can actually tell you is my game crashed.
Wait, is this the clip where the guy is gambling and he loses all of his money? There was somebody that keeps posting a react suggestion in the Discord about gamblers losing it all and breaking equipment. It is a very, very niche suggestion, but it's a longer video than you would expect.
3 times. You see, our mod pack is like a Russian egg homunculus. It's a bastardization of genetic code that is born into this world, writhes around in agony for a few moments, and then dies painfully. And currently, we're getting close to the dying part, because with each passing turn, the game becomes massively less functional. So we need to finish this challenge before the mod deletes my operating system and hires a Bitcoin assassin to kill me.
I still remember when I was a kid, I used to play a lot of League of Legends, and I would be in a ranked game and my internet would just start shitting out, and my mom would be like, "Get off the game, we're trying to watch TV!" And I'm like, "I can't, Mom, it's a ranked game." "Yeah, I know, you can pause the damn game!" And then I would lose.
The issue we're facing right now is that Vlad seems to be turtling all of his armies in a doom stack at Averheim, and we're definitely not ready to kill that. Hypothetically, it is difficult to defeat Prime Ronnie Coleman in martial combat, but if we were to economically cripple him until he could no longer afford to feed himself, then it would become a lot easier, and we're going to adopt that same approach against Vlad. Instead of confronting him at Averheim, we're going to split up and capture the rest of his territory. This should drain his economy and force him to sell off some of his armies. Then, when he's weak and vulnerable, we strike. It took about 15 turns to take all of Vlad's territory and fully encircle him at Averheim. Every so often, he would lash out and send a few armies to fight us, but the samurai body is a well-oiled
This game was awesome!
machine that turns dead people into chopped up dead people. Also, we've just sold his capital city to the dwarves for 200,000 gold, and we're closing in on 1 million. So we can do this all day. At this point, the Japanese noose is tightening around Vlad's neck, and just as I'm getting ready to pull, tragedy strikes. I try to end my turn on turn 206, and then the game clenches its fist, grabs at its chest, and collapses dead.
I love that game.
Huh, that's a bit weird. Let's reload and try again. End turn 206 and crash. This shit ain't good. Every time we end turn 206, the game crashes without fail. But we're far too close to our goal to give up now. After a brief investigation, I realized every crash takes place when the game is processing the actions of the 7th faction, which happens to be our old friends, the Chinese. Which of course raises the question, what if China didn't exist? Maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't crash. So
Guys, I am so chronically American. Is China that big?
What if China...
No. No. It's that big?
It didn't exist. Maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't crash.
It's
So I downloaded a
huge!
console command mod and got to work wiping 1.4 billion people off the face of the earth on a hunch. I'm not proud to admit that mass genocide was the first solution I went to, but it fucking worked. After making the Chinese extinct, I gave their territory to Balthazar Gelt and we passed on to
That's a cool
turn
mask.
207 without a problem.
Yeah!
Thank Christ. With the fabric of reality now patched up using the bodies of 1 billion Chinese, we can finally finish Vlad and end the apocalypse. I link our southern and northern army groups and drunk drive them straight into Vlad's doom stack.
For a long time, I thought it was legal to drunk drive in Mississippi, and I still think it is. Can you drive drunk in Mississippi? No. Why does my brain just make up shit?
Get a massive 4-on-4 clash, which I could just auto-resolve. But where's the spectacle in that? We're fighting this one manually. Loading in with a pretty strong army, I get a bit cocky and charge straight across the field at our enemies. Predictably,
They're
this was a
fast.
bad idea, and things get pretty messy pretty fast.
Uh-oh.
Our flanks
Boom!
aren't secure, and the undead are starting to overwhelm us. But at the last moment, we receive a massive influx of reinforcements, which blitz across the field
Wow.
and begin massacring the undead. This is a highly contested battle, and then we just won. Don't
Well, let's go! Wait, in this game, do they have like the people that play the music in the back of the army? Sort of like dun 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 dun. Like, do they have that? That would really add to the atmosphere.
worry about how, just know that we definitely didn't crash for the 500th time. With that battle over,
Jeez.
Vlad's armies scatter and we take our time grouping up and beating the shit out of each of them individually. In fact, I have so many commanders in this province with the purification
mood.
trait that we've completely removed all of the vampiric corruption in like 2 turns. So Vlad's remaining armies are now suffering attrition from being undead, being homeless, and some of them also have the plague. Now, as
Oh.
much as I'd love to sit here and watch his final army decompose, I can't risk our mod breaking and forcing another genocide. So I attacked Vlad's last army, kill it, and achieve absolution. After 200 turns
We
and countless
conquered
human
everybody!
sacrifices, the zombie apocalypse has been stopped, and Shingen Takeda is a hero. So what happens to all of our favorite characters now that the world has been saved?
Oh wait, this is like the end credits.
Well, Mr. Takeda retired back to Japan to continue his career in real estate, eventually causing
Wow.
the 2008 financial crisis and inventing the George Foreman grill to become
He's the reason I had the worst Christmas of my life.
a multi-millionaire. Marathi continued her world domination before eventually overdosing on Percocet in a Burger King washroom. The continent of South America continues its descent into chaos, with its average inhabitant being considered too dangerous for human contact.
What?
Tyrion and the High Elves
What was
renounced
that?
their titles and opened the world's first gay auto body shop.
Oh my god, he was rubbing his tummy down like he had a Whopper.
Lubed up buttholes. That's
What?
what my garage is all about.
The French
Our daddy taught us how not to rip the skin.
are their #1 customers. And finally,
Wait, why did I say our? I don't remember the quote. You get it.
1.4 billion Chinese are still missing to this day.
Oh my
The world
God.
isn't perfect, but thanks to us, it's got a chance.
And here is a truly extraordinary species of octopus.
Oh! Wait, pause in time. What was this? Oh, this is another one. That was an amazing video. I love watching the Reggie videos. I think they're fun. I like when he does the fun challenges and stuff, and that made me laugh. And I like the items part. That was funny too. Anyways, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Helps me out. Maybe leave a thumbs up and a comment about your favoritist faction. I don't know. And if you want, use code Berry at GamerSubs for 10% off. Makes it easier for me to maybe one day get a booba cup. I hope you have a great evening. Goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.